teachers. He said this saying when we were studying Ajurmiya actually. And he said, ضاع العلم بين أفخاذ النساء.
I don't know if you want to translate
I
that.
don't know if I want to translate it too, but basically, because of marriage, you might lose the opportunity of really studying.
That's not what it means.
Yeah.
Allah Azza wa Jal does things with no reason. So He chose the Arabic language for a reason. The Arabic language, it changed me from who I was and it protects who I am today. Because I am able to connect directly to the Quran. I generally feel like if you don't know the Arabic language as a Muslim, you are pretty much practicing your whole life a translated version of your religion, which is a diluted version of it.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Firstly, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the blessings that He has given us. Alhamdulillah. And as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us that if you don't show gratitude to people, then ultimately you haven't been grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'd like to first say Jazakallahu khairan for the brothers, the team that has been part of organizing this tour, Arabic Revival. We should all try to look into this great initiative where their goal and their vision is to bring Arabic alive in Melbourne, in Australia. Right? To bring the Arabic language alive in Melbourne, in Australia. So this is something great that every single one of us should look into. And if we're already in that journey, then we'll only enhance it bi'idhnillahi kareem. And also the sponsors behind all of this, Islamic Relief, the charity organization, that mashallah is doing great work. We'd like to thank them also for being part of organizing this. And also Ustad Muhammad Al-Andalusi for giving us his quality time in this tour in Melbourne. Jazakallahu khairan in advance. And we get straight into it because of time. What we like to do normally is start with quick, rapid fire questions.
Let's go.
That do not need ta'anni and deliberation, just straight, bang, one after another. So
might be dangerous, man. First thing comes to your mind.
First thing comes to your mind. And starting with that, the first one that comes to my mind is, what is your favorite food?
Steak.
Steak, mashallah. If you had to pick one great person from the past.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
From the companions then.
Rahman ibn Auf.
From the tabi'un.
Thawri.
Sufyan al-Thawri. All right, and then from anyone after them.
Ibn al-Qayyim, Ibn al-Jawzi.
Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawzi, mashallah. If you had only one book to take on a journey, what book would that be?
Other than the Quran?
Other than the Quran, yes.
Other than Sahih Bukhari?
If Sahih Bukhari is their book, then your book, that's the one?
Sahih Bukhari for
Sahih
sure.
Bukhari, okay. Which dialect from the Arab countries do you think is the closest to Fusha?
Saudi.
Saudi, mashallah. What's your favorite ayah of the Quran?
رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة يخافون يوما تتقلب فيه القلوب والأبصار.
A loose, small translation of that.
Men, i.e. the Sahaba, that don't get distracted by business affairs of business, trades and so on. And they don't get distracted either from giving zakah, but rather they fear a day where their sight and their hearts are going to be completely upside down, i.e. Yawm al-Qiyamah. They fear Yawm al-Qiyamah.
So I know you're a man who knows many languages. Other than the Arabic language, what's your favorite language?
English.
English, mashallah. If you could choose one country to live in, what country would that be?
Saudi.
Saudi. MashaAllah. That's about it for the rapid fire questions. Jazakallah khair, alhamdulillah. So we had a nice hyped up basketball game the other night, alhamdulillah. It went well for us. And unfortunately, when you went down with the injury, it felt like the life went out of the stadium and all the brothers. And because basketball is great fun, it shows that we can come together, we can compete as brothers, and at the same time show our skills and put our energy there. But life is more important than just the basketball and put it in the ring. So tell us about your journey. And I know basketball is a sport that you've played for a long time. And with this, you can tell us a little bit about Muhammad and going back to where you came from and your country, your nationality.
No, for sure. So, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu salam, Rasulillah. First of all, again, thank you guys. I don't want to repeat what he said, but likewise, thank to all the organizers and everyone that's part of this, making this happen. And thank you for even considering me. I literally feel like, subhanAllah, I feel weird when I'm walking around and I tell the brothers, I will let you only call me Sheikh as I am using the crutches. After the crutches, don't call me no Sheikh. I'm your brother in Islam. So yeah, after this, I'm about to. In regards of Muhammad, who is Muhammad Al-Andalusi, first of all, my family name is actually, or my real name is Mamadou Sal. This is a West African name from Senegal. My father's Senegalese, my mom is Spanish, from Catalonia, from Barcelona. I was born and raised in Barcelona. First 14 years I lived in Barcelona. Then I left to Paris for 3 years, where I learned French. Then I came back to Barcelona for about a year. Then I started practicing at about 16, 17 years old. My parents were Muslim when I was born, but they weren't too knowledgeable. So I had to kind of find Islam on my own, and it did help that my father, forced me to do things like praying or going to the madrasa as I was little, and me not understanding. Now I know that it was beneficial. At that time I was like, why is my father bringing me to this madrasa, man? What is this alif ba ta sa? Because I was going to a madrasa where they didn't even know how to pronounce the alphabet. And obviously right now I realize that. At that time I didn't know that. Point is, I was born in a Muslim family. I saw my parents pray as I was growing up. But then when I actually went to France, is when I started to realize that the youth in France, it was different. And as a side note, is one of the benefits of traveling is that you see the world, you see different types of people, you see different types of behaviors. And so people started to ask me because of my family name. As I told you guys, my real, government name is Mamadou Sal. Mamadou Sal is like saying basically, I don't know, like Michael Steve. Like, you directly imagine the person like the typical Michael Steve. Mamadou Sal is the typical Senegalese dark-skinned person. And so when I got to France, there's a lot of Senegalese immigrants. And I used to stand at the halal line to eat my lunch, and people would tell me, why are you standing aren't you like, at that time, they used to say, aren't you from Guadalupe Islands, aren't you from a tropical island, aren't you like Latino or something? I was like, no, my name is Mamadou. They would start laughing, man, you lying. You don't look like a Mamadou. It's like if I say, for example, or if Sheikh Badon says, my name is Michael. Everybody goes, what are you talking about, man? What Michael? And so I was standing in the lunch line for halal. They would say, oh, so you Muslim then? I was like, yeah. And at that time, it was the 2000s. So I was influenced by the hip hop urban cultures. I was wearing my fitted cap, and I was wearing my new era cap, and I was wearing my FUBU and my San John clothes and old baggy clothes. And like, how can you be a Mamadou Sal? It's like, for you guys to understand, it's like if, again, a Michael comes to the school wearing a thobe. For the average person, as a Muslim, you would say he's a revert. With the average person, you say, how is your name Michael? Why are you wearing like an Arab? And so it was that weird. And all of this stuff, and I emphasize on this, is because it made me think. Because now he's like, why is these people so surprised about my name and how, and the contrast of my way of dressing? Which made me start thinking and start questioning myself. And now it started to become more of not only the religion of my father, but what youth here in France seems to be very attached and passionate about. Because I would see fights in school just because of somebody said something about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I was like, oh, they really about it. I don't know what. In Spain, on the other side, there's not many generations of Muslims, generations of immigrants. I am first generation Muslim in Spain, i.e. my father came to Spain. In France, there is 3, 4, 5 generations. And so there's many youth in the masajid given, just like here, to be honest, you cannot find, unless you dig really much, maybe 1, maybe 12. It's not common in Spain to find an imam that can connect to the youth, that's young, mashallah, that speaks English properly, you can understand. In Spain, it's mostly Moroccan imams that come from Morocco, they barely speak Spanish, all the khutab are in Arabic. So youth, they come to the masjid, they can't connect. So I was a product of that. I didn't feel anything when I went to the masjid. Everything was in Arabic. And so, I grew up not attached to Islam, even though Islam was supposed to be in my house. So when I went to friends, that's when I started to question myself because of the youth in my school. Oh, you're Muslim? Yeah, no, he's Muslim. Oh, no, yeah, let him come with us, he's Muslim. Now I'm starting to feel like I'm part of something. Long story short, these type of situations made me start thinking a little bit more deep. There was certain people around me that started practicing Islam. They started giving me da'wah. At that time, I didn't know what they were doing. Now I'm like, oh, I really thank them for having invited me to their houses and showing me these videos about students of knowledge in Medina University. All of these are things that they were doing. At that time, I was just looking at like, oh, that's just my friends that they started practicing Islam. And so when this happened, and I'm summarizing things right now, when this happened and this brother that started practicing Islam from my surroundings, he showed me a video of some students learning in Medina University, and that really motivated me. And again, I couldn't identify with no one in Spain. If I would go to the masjid, I don't see people who are influenced by the same thing I'm influenced, which is the urban culture, the hip-hop culture, the baggy pants, the fitted caps, and all of this stuff. So when I saw these brothers in Medina University, they were from the UK, they were, ethnicity Jamaican and so on. They talking on the video, they had this little swag going on. They like, yeah, we seeking knowledge here. Now I start seeing Islam as a cool thing to do. And so that same brother, he brought me to the masjid. I met some of those other brothers. Now I'm seeing people who are as well influenced by the urban culture. Now I don't see it anymore as the Moroccan uncle in the masjid I can't even speak to him. And so all of that made me now see all of this different, which is the first step, to see the things different. Then in that masjid, I met a brother who told me about an intensive course that was happening in Egypt to learn the Arabic language. And straight away I told him I wanted to go. This is really something I want to go. And so he gave me the leaflet. I went back to my parents in Spain. I told them I want to take this course, 3 months, 1,000 euros, all paid in Egypt. My parents, they looked at it. What is this dude now talking about? Somebody brainwashing friends. He's trying to go to Egypt. What is even going on in Egypt? So my father, he spoke to a sheikh close to the family. And the sheikh said, yeah, let him go. He wants to learn Quran in Arabic. That's good. And at that time, I had dropped out of school anyways at 16. My parents, they like, if this guy doesn't become a basketball player, I don't know what he's going to do. So just let him go and discover the world a little bit. Let him learn Arabic, memorize Quran or something. So I convinced my parents, and then I went to Egypt. And after I got to Egypt, again, from those little situations, it was another types of situations and experiences. And so the rest is history, really. Once I got to Egypt, in short, I was like, man, I really need to live this life. The life of seeking knowledge, the life of studying the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal, because I saw and I felt what it did to me as a person. So again, like I said, once I got to Egypt, it was history. I stayed there all together about 6 years, and I guess Egypt made me who I am today, really. So even though I have a very funny relationship with Egypt and Egyptians, because like I always say, if you spend some time in Egypt, you are going to attain the shahada and the degree of patience, because Egypt is not easy. But at the same time, you know, what do they say? Diamonds are made under pressure or something like this, as the expression goes. So Egypt was really like, and I was 18 as well. So it was such a crucial age. And in terms of my name, Muhammad Al-Andalusi, was just the first day at school. My teacher, he said, what's your name? I said, Muhammad. He said, oh man, it's too many Muhammads here. Well, where are you from? I say, Spain. He said, oh, Al-Andalus. Khalas, anta Muhammad Al-Andalusi. And so everybody started calling me Muhammad Al-Andalusi, and I just ran with it, really.
Well, there you go. Now we know the background story of the name. And mashallah. So you said the rest is history. We want to unpack that history. We want to know more about that. So
And that's
inshallah, we see that.
That's a tariq al-kabir, really.
That's great. That's great. So, from my understanding now, of course, you know English. I heard you know 5 languages, and they say فَكُلُّ لِسَانٍ فِي الْحَقِيقَةِ إِنسَانٌ. Right? So
Literally.
each language or every language opens up nationalities and opportunities to mix with people and connect. So, of course, you know English and studied the Arabic language. You said born and raised in Spain, so Spanish, and then you went to France.
France now.
So there's still one language that's left. What is that?
Yeah, which is Catalan. It's
Catalan.
my mom's language, which is in Catalonia. So
Catalonia.
Barcelona is inside of Catalonia.
Barcelona is in Catalonia.
It's
We
a
only know
region
Barcelona
inside
for the
Spain.
soccer team, that's all.
I know,
We call it soccer, not football.
Yeah.
Okay, so Catalonia is a different language from Spanish.
Yes. They have been wanting to be independent for a long time.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
There's been war between Catalonia and Spain, and there's a whole history between them both. They still demonstrate every year about independence.
Right.
So they are very
Patriotic,
about their culture, their language, their
identity.
their identity as Catalan people.
Well, let's just speak more about identity and the Arabic language, because now you said you started your journey in Egypt and you're around the age of 18. As a young man, discovering yourself, going on that journey. Tell us a little bit about that and the start of it.
Yeah, so when I got to Egypt, I was 18. I went for those 3-month intensive program, and I think, I don't know if to get into this, but it might help a few brothers. When I went for the 3-month intensive program, after the first month, I remember I was sitting in between Maghrib and Isha in the masjid, and in the first month I was hyped. I came to this intensive program. I'm learning fast. Students in my class, they look at me as a motivated student. But one day I started to be a little down. And I'll tell you right now, guys, why I was down. So I think a lot of you will identify. So I was sitting in between Maghrib and Isha in the masjid, and a brother, his name was Omar Carbonier. He was an ex-professional football player who came in the same intensive Arabic course. And he saw me in the masjid. He came and he said, "What's going on, Muhammad? I see you these days. You're a little different. Why are you sitting here? You don't usually do this." You know, he felt from me that something was going on. I don't know how he saw it, but he was a grown man. You know, he understands. He caught that I really wanted to get married, and I was so unfocused from studies. And so he said, "What's going on? I see you there." And so I opened up to him. So I got to meet this family and so on, and I want to go see them. I don't have no money, I'm just thinking about it. How am I gonna do it? This, that. He said, "Okay, come after Isha to my house, and we will talk about it." So I prayed Isha and so on. Then I went to his house. As soon as I got to his house, he said, "Here's my credit card, debit card, and I'll get you a plane ticket to this family. Go see them, meet the family, see what's going on, and then come back and finish your studies."
Where's this family?
This family was in the US.
Oh.
No. So I went there, and all of this to say that, subhanAllah, the brother, he paid for my ticket out of nowhere, never asked me for it back. And what's funny is that I didn't see him after that Arabic intensive course. I didn't see him. That was in 2011. This year, a couple of months back, I went for Umrah with my wife, and I saw him from far away. He's a professional player. He's very buff, so you can't miss him. And I saw him from far away. I said, "Omar, Wallahi, imagine after what? After 13 years, I just saw him in Medina. He just finished his Umrah. I finished my Umrah as well. He says, "Wallah, Muhammad, what's going on there?" And it was crazy. But all of this to say that's the first month. When I got to Egypt, I was wanting to study, but generally wanting to get married really had me unfocused to a point where I couldn't focus anymore. I couldn't study. So I left and I did the means of getting married and so on. Came back. Then did the rest of the 2 months. I completed the program and so on. Then left after the course. Went and got married. Brought my wife. After I brought my wife to Egypt, I was like, now it's time. Now I'm really gonna go in. I'm gonna study and so on. And that's what I did. I restarted the Arabic program. Started going through the program. Memorized. Went through all the 17 lessons, the 17 levels they had there. And alhamdulillah, completed Al-Ajurumiyya. That was about 10 months. And so I learned Arabic first year. Second year I went into Al-Azhar University. I didn't have like I told you guys, did I say it? I dropped out of school at 16. I was a dropout. I was a knucklehead before Islam. So I was never about studying. That's another thing. But then when it came to knowledge, I was all about it. So I had to go and do high school in Al-Azhar University, all in Arabic. Imagine math in Arabic. Imagine history in Arabic. I'm like, I'm already bad at math in English. Imagine in Arabic. So I still did it, alhamdulillah, and I did they had a competition going on. They called it Musabaqa. And you was able to do 4 years in 1 year if you wanted to. Like basically you just go to the exams. So I did that, alhamdulillah. So I did pretty much 4 years in 2 years. So I did my thanawiyya, my high school, then I went into faculty of Sharia and Qanun. So I did my faculty for 3 years. Then in 2017 they kicked me out of the country. They just kicked me out of the country, deported. Don't even, if you know anybody who's been in Egypt, you know what's going on in Egypt. They don't like you. If you have a beard and a thobe and you have a foreign passport, we don't know you, we don't know if you're crazy, we don't better, Mike just kick you out. So that's what happened. We just got deported, me and the brother that's back there, Hanif, who we met in Egypt as well. And so after this, I was like, I need to figure out how to make money. That's pretty much the summary of me being in Egypt. I don't know exactly what point you want me to touch on, but that was in summary my history in Egypt.
Good. Just one point that comes to my mind, and this is a question that's in the mind of a lot of students of knowledge and those who want to embark on that journey, but they also experience a similar emotion and desire of marriage. So they have this dichotomy, this clash of studying or getting married, or possibly combining the two. Because one sheikh, one of our teachers years ago, he said this saying when we were studying Ajurumiyya actually, and he said, ضاع العلم بين أفخاذ النساء.
I don't know if you want to translate
I
that.
don't know if I want to translate it too, but basically, because of marriage, you might lose the opportunity of really studying.
That's not what it means.
That's a very euphemistic translation. Cool. So that was stuck in my mind, right? But
I hope people go back and watch this video and put ChatGPT, the recorder. ChatGPT, what does this mean? What did Sheikh say?
Astaghfirullah. But so you succeeded studying while being married. How was that? And the question is, do you think it's okay for students to study full time while being married?
Yeah, I mean, it's all, it's very subjective. It depends on the person. I think culture has a lot to do. I think growing up however you grow up, I don't want to say in the West because here it's just different. I just see Australia different. We have been saying with the brothers, man, people here are very polite. Like where I come from, and when I say when I come from, I'm talking about Spain, France. People are just bad in general. Like that's the asal, that's the default. And I believe that you in some sort get corrupted. So it depends how you grew up, and it depends on the person. Like just this morning when we were coming, the bus, they came and pick us up from the hotel, and we started the whole day reading a few sayings of Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi, and an explanation of how Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he got married after his 40s because he was busy seeking knowledge. And the whole idea of what we were reading is that if you can delay it, then that's better for you because you can focus on seeking knowledge. If you cannot delay it, then get married because it's the lesser of the two harms. I.e., one harm is going to be that you are going to need to get married and you're unfocused. The other harm is that now you got married, so you have to, you have responsibilities. You have to seek risk. You have to seek from the fadl of Allah. And as Imam Shafi'i, he said, تفقه قبل أن ترأس فإذا ترأسأت فلا سبيل إلى التفقه. That you should seek and try and become more knowledgeable while you have responsibilities, basically. Because if you become responsible of a family, children, whatever it might be, then in a exaggerated way, he said that there's no way to learn after this. There's no way to become more knowledgeable. I.e., you are going to have to deal with, okay, I have to pay the bills at the end of the month, these, that. But again, for some brothers, and again, like marriage it falls under all the rules of all the ahkam of fiqh. It can be haram for you to get married. It can be halal for you to get married. It can be recommended for you to get married. It can be disliked for you to get married. Really depends on the situation of the person. For me at that point, it was wajib. It was obligatory. Like couldn't focus really. Like certain people, it depends on the person really. And so what I would say that's best is if you can, in your young age, when you have time, no responsibility, you don't pay no bills, even if you're, the first 2 years, 3 years, my parents were taking care of me in Egypt, which was a great blessing. I know brothers, they had to figure things out. I know brothers who accepted Islam, they got kicked out of their houses, so if you can do that, if you're young and your parents can take care of you, and if you are father, you're a parent yourself, send your child, go to Egypt, go learn Arabic, go memorize Quran, go get busy, because later on, all pretty much you are going to be able to do is revise what you have already learned. So yeah, that's my advice on marriage.
So it's subjective to the students.
Yeah.
But coming back, so did you memorize Quran in Egypt at that time?
No, I didn't finish my memorization. I got out of Egypt with 12 Jews that I got being tested on. 12 Jews. 12 Jews. Which is Surah Furqan from the back.
Okay, so we can continue with the Quran journey and Arabic. But you mentioned something that now, after you finished, deported out of Egypt, you went back to Spain?
They deported me back to Spain, yeah, but I went to London because my family was there.
And then you started thinking about how to make money?
Yeah.
All right, mashallah.
I was just forced to. I didn't even start thinking. I was like, I gotta make money.
If you don't mind me asking, what's the most amount you've made in a month now?
The most amount I made in a month?
Up until now.
In revenue, I don't know about profit, $125,000.
In a month?
Yeah, in a month.
Okay, so tell us about that and entrepreneurship and how Muhammad is going through all of these sacrifices and struggles and get to a point where making over 100,000 a month.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this. How did that happen?
Well, it was. I think it was. It was something had to happen when I was younger that made me realize. Especially, I remember once. I don't know how deep I can go, guys. I feel quite comfortable with you guys, so I'm gonna get a little deep.
Be open, Bismillah. Feel free.
When I was younger, in 2009, I became the European champion of Trump dancing in Düsseldorf, Germany. A lot of people don't know this. And I'm not going to tell you my nickname so you don't go on YouTube and search it out either. But that gave me authority, and I was 16, 17, in a way where I would get paid for $100 an hour for 7 hours to just teach some random class. For me, it was a joke at that time. I was like, man, I don't even know why these people paying me. And now in a day, I would make 700 euros. At that time, I was like, yeah, I'm making money. I don't even think my teachers in school made this money. So that unlocked something in me. It made me realize that I can actually make money in different ways other than what we have been programmed, which is, go to school, get a degree, get a job, and then
work 9 to 5.
And then that's it, work 9 to 5, basically from what you have studied. So that unlocked that in me, obviously. Then I started practicing. I left that. But when I was in, that was even after what we were doing in France. When I was in France, there was a very bright young man. His name was Sebastian, and he had a contact in China. Who he was basically a Chinese guy who used to work in a shoe factory, and so I was witnessing this, and witnessing this, it made me realize like we can actually make money in different ways. But he was basically in school. He became like known as the sneakerhead, and so people would pay him $60. He would buy the shoes from this guy at $30, and he would keep the rest of the $30. And he was known because every single day he had different sneakers. So I was very close to him. In the beginning, he was gatekeeping. Do you guys know somebody don't know what gatekeeping is? Okay, everybody knows what gatekeeping is. So he was gatekeeping in the beginning, the contact. And so I got close to him, and I don't know how I got it, but I ended up, I might have just took it from him, to be honest, because I still remember the email, waystar09. Don't go and email the guy now, and he's probably not working there anymore. But the point is, I saw how much money he was making, and we were at that time 15, 14. And so I realized like I can do different things. When I did the dancing stuff, I was making money. And so as soon as I got to Egypt, even though I said that my parents were taking care of me in the first 3 years, as soon as I got to Egypt, the first year I was very focused on Arabic, but the second year I started an accommodation service called Travel for Allah, which basically was a service that when brothers come to Egypt, I get an apartment for them, I talk to the Egyptians, and basically I remove the headache off them. And I tried that, made some money, brought some students. It was too much of a headache for me. I'm not too much of a people's person, especially when I started seeking knowledge. I didn't want to mix up too much. I might look a little extroverted sometimes, but I do run out of social battery very quickly. So that's where I realized I didn't want to do that for too much. Second thing I tried was I learned how to sew actually. Sew clothes, Islamic clothes. So I was doing jilbabs for sisters, sarawil for brothers, pants. And I used to go to this Sudani guy in Ashir in Egypt. And I would just sit down with him, record, and I just learned how to sew like that. And I wanted to make a brand on social media and sell my clothes. I tried that. I don't know how I lost the interest for it. It didn't work out. At one point, I was just working at the institute I graduated from in Arabic. I was a secretary there because there was a bunch of brothers from everywhere. I speak 5 languages, easy to connect with everyone. So I was working there for about a year. They were paying me 700 junay a month, which is
Peanuts.
Peanuts, like probably like $100, not even. And so it didn't look like a long-term thing. Long story short, in 2016, I went into a brother's house, and he had a very nice setup, all Mac, all clean. At this stage, it probably wouldn't surprise me, but back then when I was in Egypt, there was a bunch of brothers that don't have much money. So every house looked like what it should look, which is a student Talib Ilm house. Mattress on the floor, no wardrobe. It's just the luggage opened up, and that's how we used to live. Now when I went into his brother's house, I saw that very nice Mac and everything nice in the house. You can tell there's a woman living in this house. That's what I thought at that time. And obviously that was the case. He's been there for 6 years. Everything is very clean. And he told me that he was a graphic designer, and he didn't go back to the US for 6 years. I was like, wait, so you work online? He said, yeah, I work online. Wow, for 6 years you didn't go back, you didn't even need to go and do. Yep, that's what I do, I work online. So that unlocked something in my mind. Now that stood in the back of my mind, and I started to teach online. I teach Arabic online in 2016, but I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to, at that time I didn't have a YouTube channel of 122,000 subscribers like we have right now. So I didn't know exactly how to get students. So I had a couple of brothers here and there, and I was maybe making $150 a month or so. And I just didn't believe that it was possible to live off that, like grow as a business, make an actual institute. And so I lost the interest and I ended up just going back to to London and delivering food with Uber Eats and Deliveroo. So that's what I was doing for about a year and a half. And as I was delivering food, I was learning a lot about online business. I was listening to podcasts, online content, I was buying courses and things like that. So I started trying a bunch of online businesses, affiliate marketing, personal branding, social media marketing, retail arbitrage, you name it. I did a bunch of different online businesses. And then at one point I realized that all of these skills that I'm gaining with all of these different types of business models, I can just apply it to what I didn't know how to productize before, which was teaching Arabic. And so in 2019 I had the idea of starting an Arabic Institute. So we started the Arabic Institute in February 2019. And alhamdulillah, for 6 months we crossed 6 figures. And to be honest, I wasn't even expecting it. I just wanted to make about $1,000, $2,000 to continue my studies in Egypt, and it quite blew up. I mean, I'm here because of that. So it's a sign that there was a lot of demand from a lot of brothers wanting to learn Arabic. So we fixed the problem, and it fixed my personal problem of struggling financially.
And from there it blew up.
From there, yeah, it blew up. In 2023, we made $1 million in a year, and this year probably we'll cross $1 million as well. Obviously, we have a team. It's not $1 million that go in my pocket. For those who understand how business works, there's revenue, there's profit, but revenue and numbers tell you that there must be a few hundred people paying for a product for it to even come to this type of revenue.
And your product is teaching Arabic.
Yeah, it's basically, so imagine it's basically a university, but it's only online. That's how I would put it.
So tell us about that and the thought that went into that, and your experiences, and how you tapped into that, and how you made that successful, where people all around the world now are interested and signing up in your courses.
So, well, as I was saying, I was getting so much content. I was consuming so much content about online businesses, and subhanAllah, I literally just took it like a second field. I mean, it is a field of knowledge. So in 2018, I actually told my wife and my kids to go back to the US, in this case, to stay with her parents, because at that time I didn't have money and I really needed to focus on this. So a lot of people, I might make it seem like, I just did it, but I didn't just did it. I had to. It was a whole year, the whole 2018. I told my family, go back to your parents. I'm going to stay at my grandmother's apartment in Spain because I wasn't paying no rent. So that year I had no expenses, so I went all in, all risk. So I read 12 books that year. I learned business as if it was knowledge, as if I was seeking knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And so not business is really that. It's a knowledge. So I learned it, started applying, started making mistakes, started learning from my mistakes. And obviously I did invest in mentorship and things like that. Probably spent over close to $100,000 right now in courses from different entrepreneurs and mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally took it as that, is a learning process, and start applying, making mistakes, learning from your mistakes.
Just on that, to wrap up business and entrepreneurship, can you tell us one mistake that we can learn from, and maybe one tip also?
Well, one mistake in business, the thing is that I don't see mistakes in business. Everything is a lesson that shows you that this is not the right thing to do.
Maybe one of those then, yeah.
Yeah, so it's very hard for me to think of a mistake I've made. Probably money management.
Money management.
I come from nothing, and so the first time making, $10,000 in a month comes in, you are young. I was probably like 20 something. You don't understand how to manage money. Oh yeah, I have 10,000. So I was just spending money like crazy. I didn't save no money for long years, and so money management was a big thing that I made a mistake on. And tips is just find something that you can find a problem that you can fix with a product.
Find a problem you can fix with a product.
That's what business really is, you know. And like if you, as long as you're fixing a product, as long as you're fixing a problem and people are benefiting from the service you are providing, they are going to be willing to pay for it.
And let's bring it back to the Arabic language, and especially with the tour that you're here in Melbourne, and not just Melbourne, the cities across Australia. And the Arabic language is the language of the Quran. The Quran is our guidance, our book of guidance. It connects all of us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, from my reading and understanding in the Quran, the Arabic language 10 times. Like for example, Qur'anan Arabiyyan ghayra dhi iwajin. In different places, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed this book in the Arabic language, which is the best language, as Ibn Kathir rahimahullah has mentioned, the most noble language revealed by the most noble angel, you know, on the most noble prophet, the noble ummah, the best place in the earth. فَكَمَلَ مِن كُلِّ الْوُجُوهِ. So the Arabic language, why is it important for us? And starting from there.
No. Well, which connects to business and entrepreneurship. The reason why I could have gone and made a product and a business around something else, but after spending so many years learning Arabic language and learning the deen, I really felt like I didn't want to do anything else than be involved into something related to it.
Related to deen.
So that's why I stopped all other businesses that I had at that time, which was a social media marketing agency for chiropractors in Spain. And I went into creating an online program, and that's such a blessing because every day I'm involved into within knowledge, and so that's work. And so the Arabic language to me it changed, and it protects who I am. It changed me from who I was, and it protects who I am today, because I am able to connect directly to the Quran. And from this same explanation, this same tafsir that you just mentioned, which is Ibn Kathir in the ayah إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَا الْقُرْآنَ عَرَبِيًّا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. He says that it's the most eloquent language. And one very interesting point that he says in that tafsir is that it's the وَأَكْثَرُهَا تأدية للمعاني
في النفوس
التي تقف فيها النفوس. So, meaning that is the language, the one that is more, the one that you can basically bring about meanings in the most eloquent way about the feelings that are in your heart. And what it means by this, after this we were doing some research with a brother about Ibn al-Qayyim. He mentioned 9 ways on how to express love. 9 ways on how to express love. And I can't quote them from the top of my head, but one is about how when you feel sad that person is not there. If you're not with the person, you feel sad. Another one is you cannot focus on anything else. Another one is that you don't feel like you can do anything else in life. And every one of those 9 ways, we in English we just say love. That's it. He's in love. He's very into the thing. Like we don't have words to express that thing. All of this to say that the Arabic language is the only language, وَأَوْسَعُهَا, he says as well, Ibn Kathir, and it's the most vast language. وَأَبْيَانُهَا, and the most wide language. And so the Arabic language is the only language, and it just makes sense because Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't choose or does things with no reason. So He chose the Arabic language for a reason. And from the different examples that you can find in the Quran, like for example, if we talk about Allah Azza wa Jal, He might talk about, rain, and you might look in the translation of the Quran as rain, you will find rain. But then if you read in Arabic, you will find 2 words, matar and ghayth. Ghayth will be, in Arabic, ghayth means when Allah descends the rain after they were in pain, that there was no rain, and they asked Allah, then Allah descended the rain.
After drought, yeah.
And so if you just read rain in English,
Does it give off that
from the
meaning?
matar. It removes all of these characteristics and beautiful names and attributes that Allah Azza wa Jal has, which is the one that when you ask Him, He gives you. The one that has rahmah and mercy for His servants and doesn't want to see you suffer. The one that responds the dua. However, if you just read in Arabic, Allah descended the rain, khalas. You know, and I did some research these past days as well on another ayah, وَوْفِيَتْ كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا عَمِلَتْ وَهُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا يَفْعَلُونَ. I researched 6 tafasir, they all use the same verb in translation, did, to do. However, Allah used amilat and fa'ala, 2 different verbs. Allah Azza wa Jalla doesn't do something abatha for no reason. So when you look at the tafsir, amila, most of the times Allah Azza wa Jalla uses it in the context of when a servant does something out of intent.
Out of intent.
Fa'ala is when he just does something. I might be here right now and I'm moving my hands and I do like this. Oh, I slap you, my bad. I fa'alt hada. I did it. But ma amiltu. I didn't do it with intent. And so when you read the translation, it says, وَوْفِيَتْ كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا عَمِلَتْ وَهُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا يَفْعَلُونَ. It basically means, and Allah will fully compensate what they did, and He is the most knowledgeable about what they do. That's how it's translated.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Allah will fully compensate them for what they did intentionally, and He is most knowledgeable of what they do unintentionally. He just the translation, 6 translations.
Yep.
Did. And so what happens is that if you read in the translation of the Quran, so many attributes and beautiful characteristics of Allah Azza wa Jal are lost in meaning. In a way where if you know that Allah Azza wa Jal fully compensates those that do with intention, then it means that Allah Azza wa Jal is merciful. He doesn't punish you for something you do unintentionally. It shows that Allah Azza wa Jal is knowledgeable, because at the end of the ayah He said, وَهُوَ أَعْلَمُ مَا يَفْعَلُونَ. He is most knowledgeable about what they do intentionally or unintentionally. That's what it basically means. And so it shows you that even if you do something intentionally or you do something unintentionally, Allah knows it anyways. Amilat, you know, there's hidden small meanings in the sense that Allah Azza wa Jal makes a difference for His servants and only will give you and compensate you in good or bad about what you did intentionally. So the point is, when I realized, and again, coming from a polyglot, from somebody who speaks 5 languages, that's something that before learning the Arabic language, I already was aware of it. And as you said, the maqula, in each of my languages, I'm a different person, and I talk differently, and I have a different personality. So I realized that with the Arabic language, and that's the reason why Ibn Kathir, he says that it's the most eloquent language, the one that you can express meanings in the most eloquent way, and that's the reason why Allah Azza wa Jal chose it. And so why I'm so passionate about the Arabic language is because I generally feel like if you don't know the Arabic language as a Muslim, you are pretty much practicing your whole life a translated version of your religion, which is a diluted version of it. It's kind of like the surface level, as you know, as we've seen in the example of this ayah. So yeah, that's my love and my close relationship with the Arabic language.
And subhanAllah, even myself, the journey of the Quran and being connected to the Quran, it's opened up all the doors of goodness. Alhamdulillah, I would say that with all praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the question that I have, and I think will be very beneficial for all of us, is that what are the barriers that are there, maybe mental barriers in the minds of people that stop them from taking the journey or starting. Right? What do you think are the impediments that stop people from embarking on the journey?
I believe many times it's limited beliefs of thinking it's too difficult, it's going to take too long. Okay, but if I go and study, or if I focus on study, or if I put this time into studying the Arabic language, I'm not going to be able to perhaps finish my career at the time I want to finish it. I'm going to then be poor, or I'm going to have less money, or whatever it might be. It's always based on limiting beliefs. And as they call limiting beliefs, if you have them, then it limits you from even starting. It limits you from starting the actual action. And so when the person is truly decisive, فَإِذَا عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ, that's how the Muslim should be. If you really think that you should be doing something, then just go ahead, make salah istikhara, see if it's something you're really inclined to, and go ahead and do it. The Prophet ﷺ promised us that you will not regret it. But most people, is nowadays the type of routines we have, day-to-day routines, responsibilities, and so on, is what really keeps somebody from actually taking the step. And most of the times it's just thinking of it, okay, how I'm going to do it. They strategize for long years until they never start. And the secret to getting ahead is getting started. That's the real deal. And so from amongst many things, I really believe, and I have a very bad relationship with social media and the phone. I think that's a killer to the average person nowadays. The amount of time they spend on their phone, that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 8 screen time hours on the phone, if they put it in actually learn the Arabic language, I'm like,
They'll become like Siboy. I'm joking.
Siboy, Khalil, Faris, Nasida, all of them.
No, but based on, carry on from there. Those who embark on the journey and start, what are some lessons that you look back now, you reflect where you're at, that you wish you knew earlier, especially at the beginning of the journey?
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. I'll share one. When I started studying in 2014 with my close friend, Sheikh Abdul Qadir, who was getting buckets the other night on your team. So he said one thing to me, and that is, shift your mindset and try to think in Arabic. So everything I'm learning in class, every day learning new vocabs, new words, هذا كتاب وذلك قلم وتلك سيارة, all of this is to try to actually think in the Arabic language and try to understand what is this and what is that. So that helped me. That was a piece of advice I never forgot since 2014. So I was initially starting to think everything in English and then try to translate. So that was a barrier for me that, alhamdulillah, I got over, and then it helped. So what are some things, do you agree with this? Do you think this is also there? And if you can share any others that can help in the journey at the beginning?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the average person, that's a natural thing to do as well when learning language in the beginning. And that's something that if you can do it intentionally is great. And if you do it unintentionally, it will take time to actually, get there. And some people, for years, they learn Arabic language, they're still doing that mistake. So that's very beneficial. For me, it was about focusing on vocabulary. In the beginning, I was very technical, very analytical, trying to understand why is a un here and a in here and an here. And my teacher, he would tell me, just have patience. It's gonna come, don't worry. And so if I knew it before that the amount of vocabulary that I have will allow me to understand better later on, I would have just gone, harder and faster on memorizing and acquiring new vocabulary. So vocabulary, as a wise man once said, without grammar, little can be conveyed. Without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed.
Can you just repeat that again, inshallah?
Without grammar.
Without grammar.
Little can be conveyed.
Little can be conveyed, yeah.
Without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed.
Right, so focus sort of on vocabs.
Right.
Vocabulary.
So if I start with vocabulary and I understand, I, and I know as well want, the verb want, and I know for, let's say, water. All of these there's no grammar in it, but it's just vocabulary. I can say I want water or I water. Even if I just know I and water. I can go to somebody and tell them I water. And this is literally the qasd, as Al-Khalil, Ibn Faris, Ibn Sida, all of them, they agree that that's what al-lugha means, which is when somebody uses a sound to express an intent. That's what language really is. It doesn't matter if you say, of course it matters on a long run, but you speak the language already if you are able to make the person understand what you're trying to say.
Right.
So if I say I water, I only know 2 pieces of vocabulary, but I'm telling you what I want, and you understand me.
So do you think an issue in the journey, especially initially, is that there's more focus on Arabic grammar, as you mentioned, the end cases, and in, on, why, rather than spending time with vocabulary, meaning students get bogged up and clogged up in studying Arabic grammar, which makes it sort of difficult for them, but rather they should shift more time initially in studying the books that teach them conversational Arabic. Do you think that's a better path?
Yeah, for sure. When I met, I have an interview on YouTube with the author of the Medina books. He said that nowadays when you ask somebody who's learning the Arabic language, you know, what language you learn, and they say, I'm learning Arabic grammar. As if the language was grammar.
Like Nahu.
Yeah, and he says that's not correct. Language is not grammar. And so that's most of the times people, they tend to think that Arabic is all about grammar for some reason, and that and they don't spend much time on vocabulary, and like any language, really, like any language. If you ask me right now, and if you ask us, anybody here, about, you know, start teaching me English grammar, we all fluent in English. What do we know about English grammar? Most of us, I would believe, and at least me, if you ask me, I've been speaking English for I don't know how long. I don't know nothing about English grammar. So it shows that language is mostly vocabulary, and having heard so many times how to put these words together to make them sound correctly and to express yourself correctly, that now it just becomes automatic.
Right.
So same thing we should do when we learn in another language, especially the Arabic language in this case, in order for you to learn it correctly and efficiently. And later on you can go ahead and learn grammar if you want, and sarf, morphology.
Right. A thought came to mind. I remember when we first started studying Arabic, that it was mentioned that we study Arabic, and a short-term goal would be to be able to صون اللسان عن الخطأ, to try to protect ourselves from making mistakes, and then a mid-term goal would be to try to understand the Quran and try to understand the Hadith and the related sciences, and then the ultimate objective behind studying the Arabic language is to earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the focus on trying to keep that the end at the beginning, so it sort of makes the journey easy. So for the students, so I think that really helped me a lot. So could you share some things that you think can help us as students in taking it to the next level, and really, you know, taking this as an identity, taking the Arabic language as an identity for us? What do you, some tips, inshallah?
Yeah, that's beautiful actually. Those three, that taqsim, that classification. Well, I would say, I think the best example and advice is Imam Al-Tha'alibi. He says in his مقدمة of سر اللغة وفقه العربية. Imam Al-Tha'alibi is one of the scholars known for the Arabic language and his knowledge in the Arabic language. And he says something along the lines in the beginning of his book of how whoever loves Allah Azza wa Jalla will love his Prophet. Whoever loves his Prophet will love his identity. Whoever loves his identity will be in the Arabic language. Whoever loves the Arabic language will do and he uses the verb ثابر عليها, which is like to continuously try on getting better at it. And so that's literally what it is. If you really love the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who is Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib ibn Hashim, Hashim min Quraysh min al-Arab, Arab min Dhurriyat Ismail. So your Prophet is Arabi. And if you really love him, you will try and resemble him as much as possible. There is nothing bigger when it comes to identity, culture, than the language. If you speak somebody's language, you pretty much can, they let you in. And this reminds me of my father's country in Senegal. Sometimes there is Caucasian people that come to Senegal. They learn the language fluently. They are they treat them like
treated.
khalas, they from this, they don't look at color, skin color or anything. It's mostly the language. He talks like us. And so the Arabic language is the language of Muslims. It's not the language of the Arabs or whatever it might be, but it's the language of Muslims. And through it, you will gain an identity. And when you gain this identity, you are so much more connected because of what we said earlier in terms of all the different meanings and a phenomenon that linguistic experts call as untranslatability, on how some terms, they can just simply not be translated into other languages. And so you're continuously, in a state of like literally just consuming a surface type level of what really is. And one example that I would like to put is like, look, if you hear of a woman, for example, who give birth to a son or a child who is what do they call it in English? The person that can hear and talk.
Deaf.
Sumi.
Yeah. A deaf person.
Deaf now.
Yeah.
So somebody who's deaf. Let's say a woman gives birth to a child, is deaf, can talk. Child grows up. They tell the mother, look, we can set up a program for you. You go every Wednesday, every Thursday, whatever it might be. You learn your child's sign language. That way you can communicate with him. Let's say the woman, she says, no, I'm fine with this translator that helps us communicate. I will communicate the rest of my life through this translator with my child. I will communicate with my child through this translator. It's like, subhanAllah, you're going to live in this life for maybe 60, 70, 80 years. You cannot take 1-2 years to learn a language to allow you to connect directly with your son without needing to bring a third person and him giving you some sort of interpretation of what he said based on his ability to do so and explain. And then, just live for the rest of your life like that. Anybody would say, this woman doesn't really care about her child. She doesn't really want to connect with her child directly. And so the same thing, if Allah Azza wa Jal reveals a letter, literally, to you directly in a specific language, and you are just going to live the rest of your life with a form of an interpretation of it that somebody did the best effort they could to kind of like make you understand what he said, and you can't put even the effort of 1 year, 2 years to actually learn connect to understand the actual source, the actual true source. And so I believe that the Arabic language, anybody should learn it. Otherwise, you just, as I said, going to continue to live a life practicing a translated version of your religion, literally.
Many of us here either studying or working, have life's responsibilities, busy with our extracurricular activities. In our spare time, we have our hobbies, our family members, friends, socializing, all of this. How can we sort of manage this while going down this journey of learning Arabic? Is Arabic language something you just learn on the go, picking up small things, or is it more focused study time in the classroom? What can you tell us that can help us in this way? Understanding that most of us spend, some work 9 to 5 or some studying university.
I would say that first of all, you need to identify as somebody first before you do that. I.e., you need to tell yourself, I am a student of knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم. Seeking knowledge is an obligation for every Muslim. He didn't say it's an obligation if you are not working a 9 to 5 job or if you're not going to university. That's just your life. You have been created to worship Allah Azza wa Jalla. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And the jinn and the ins, having created them, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, except for them to worship me. The best worship after your obligations as Allah Azza wa Jalla, as the scholars say, is seeking knowledge. So seeking knowledge is something that the Muslim should take as an identity. Now, if you identify as a seeker of knowledge, and interesting enough, this morning we're reading the qawl of Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi. He says at the end that وَكَانَ السَّلَفُ يُؤْثِرُونَ الْعِلْمَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. And the Salaf, the righteous predecessors, they used to prefer and give preference above and prioritize knowledge above everything. I.e., you are here, you are trying to, you want to have this job and this career and these studies, that's fine. But you need to prioritize and work around the knowledge. At least what's obligatory for you. So if you have a life that's busy, you have responsibilities, we all have responsibilities. But the problem is that many people, they wait and look for the perfect situation to start, but they don't realize that the perfect situation is actually started.
Perfect situation started.
It's not waiting to see, oh no, when I'm going to be perfect, because the situation will never get perfect. We always be going to be responsible for something, busy doing something, having a job, a career. Now you're gonna have a child. You're gonna have two children. So the point is actually making those gaps, those moments in your day, and systemizing your whole life in order for you to have the time, to find the time. Even if you have to go sleep. Now maybe the problem is that you go sleep too late. So you wake up at Fajr, you're tired. Or go sleep earlier, wake up 2 hours before Fajr, and make that the 2 hours that you seek knowledge in the day. Khalas, the rest of the 22 hours of the day, you do your responsibilities. So, as they say in Arabic, the Arabic proverb goes, "Man jadda wajad." Whoever is serious about it finds a way. So, we can see here and quote as many sayings of the Salaf and as many sayings of scholars about the importance of the Arabic language. I think all of us here know the importance of the Arabic language and what it would, and I don't think actually that we realize many times what it would cause in ourselves as how much growth it will come from it if we learn the Arabic language. But we know a percentage of it. Like if I knew the Arabic language, I would probably be a better Muslim. So we all know this. Now the problem is, what are you going to do after this? When are you going to make the move? And as we said, the secret to getting ahead is getting started.
So in summary, try and possibly fail, but don't fail to try.
Exactly.
Try, see how you go. If you fail, get back up, but don't fail to try.
Yes, sir.
Jazakallah khairan. I'm looking at the time and see the face of the brothers. The night is still young. So we still have the next segment where not just myself, I've asked mashallah a lot of questions, but the brothers can benefit. We have a bonfire at the back where it can be more, informal and more personal, and we can hear more stories, some unique stories. I know you said you went to Mauritania, so that place is a desert, so I'd like to hear a little bit about that. So some stories, inshallah. So we will continue to go to the back, inshallah. There will be a bonfire and also barbecue for the brothers only. Jazakallah khairan for giving us your time. And I hope every single one of us here benefited from this discussion and took, lessons about the Arabic language, the importance of it, how we can take those steps, positive steps, to bring it into our life, understanding the transformative benefit it can have for us. And again, I'd like to thank Ustad for his time, the team, Arabic Revival. Their vision is to bring Arabic to our phones, to our gadgets, to our laptops, bring it to us, make it accessible, inshallah.
And also, actually, Arabic Revival is to bring Arabic to every corner of Melbourne. That's their goal.
Every corner of Melbourne.
No.
Melburnians, you heard that. So that's there, and also Islamic Relief for being part of making this happen. And inshallah, we finish on a good note. Jazakumullahu khairan, ahsan al-jaza, Ustad and the team. And inshallah, we will head to the back. So brothers, inshallah, continue to go there and join us. Bi-idhnillahi kareem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.